the Russians launched a massive attack on the capital. But after his inauguration,
I will end that war.
Russia didn't stop. Angela Merkel, did her energy policy contribute to Russia's aggression? These statistics are a challenge not only for Ukraine, but for the entire world. Portnov deleted. Andrei Portnov, former deputy head of Yanukovych's presidential administration, Russia's myth design versus Ukrainian identity, on the red carpet alongside Ukrainian soldiers and musicians from the cultural forces. On May 15, Vienna celebrated Vyshyvanka Day. The show Dancing Stars Austria ended with a Ukrainian victory. Welcome. This is Atmo Media, where truth, analysis, and independent journalism come together to bring you the most important news. So let's begin. On the eve of Kyiv Day, May 25, the Russians launched a massive attack on the capital, a combination of drones and ballistic missiles. This was one of the most powerful assaults since the beginning of the war. In total, over 300 aerial targets were launched, approximately 367 drones and missiles. The Ukrainian air defense shot down at least 245 drones and 6 missiles, but infrastructure in Kyiv and other regions was still hit. According to official reports, between 10 and 16 people were injured in Kyiv itself. The number of those killed in the capital is still being clarified. On Kyiv Day, instead of festive fireworks, explosions and fear. Yet, even on this day, Kyiv's residents remain strong. Ukraine remembers, and there will be a response. Donald Trump promised quick peace in Ukraine.
I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24 hours.
But after his inauguration, Russia didn't stop. The contrary, the number of attacks doubled. What's happening? We analyzed the data and the picture is alarming. Data from official sources shows, after January 2025, when Trump became president, the number of attacks in Ukraine's frontline regions more than doubled. For example, in the Odessa region, there used to be 2 hits, now there are over 20. The largest increases were seen in Mykolaiv, Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhia regions. There is an explanation. Trump speaks of peace. Russia strikes harder. Why? The Kremlin likely sees this as a signal. Your allies are weakening. Act. Political rhetoric is no guarantee of safety. Peace isn't words at rallies. It's action on the battlefield. And while the United States debates compromises, explosions ring out in Ukraine. These numbers are a mirror of the reality. That so-called neutrality often benefits the aggressor. Angela Merkel, did her energy policy contribute to Russia's aggression? Angela Merkel led Germany for 16 years. She called this policy transformation through trade, a deep partnership with Russia. The construction of Nord Stream dependence on gas. But did this stability give the Kremlin the freedom to attack Ukraine? Merkel followed the policy of Wandel durch Handel, change through economic ties. She believed that trade would push Russia toward democratization. Her government launched Nord Stream 1 and actively supported Nord Stream 2, even after the annexation of Crimea in 2014. Despite warnings from allies. These projects bypassed Ukraine and weakened its asset transit country. In 2015, Germany sold its gas storage facilities to Russia's Gazprom, despite internal warnings about security risks. Data from 2021, about 55% of Germany's gas came from Russia, oil 34%, coal 52%. This made Berlin vulnerable to blackmail, And the Kremlin understood Europe would not impose tough sanctions. Critics say that even after the annexation of Crimea, Merkel's policy remained soft. Europe continued to buy Russia's gas, and Russia saw it as a signal: we can do more. The Green Party and the left are already calling for an official investigation into Merkel's policy to determine whether it's fueled the Kremlin's aggression. They call the decision to sell the gas storage facilities a fatal security mistake, and advise the current government to thoroughly examine the causes and consequences. What does this mean for us? Angela Merkel was a politician who sought stability, but her strategy of transformation turned into a trap: energy dependence, political weaknesses, and ultimately the freedom for the aggressor to act with impunity. Could Europe have done things differently? What lessons can we draw from our own mistakes? Is true independence possible today without sacrificing stability? Since February 24, 2022, the start of Russia's full-scale invasion, Russian forces have committed over 150,000 crimes on Ukrainian territory. What lies behind these numbers, and where does the world's silence lead? War crimes, the largest group, over 137,000 cases, including the killing of civilians, seizure of infrastructure, rape and looting. Crimes against territorial integrity, nearly 10,000 cases, evidence of the systematic nature of aggression against Ukraine. Collaboration and treason, around 5,000 criminal cases against those who cooperated with the occupiers. What does it mean? Ukraine was not just defending itself, it was documenting every crime. This proves that 3 years of full-scale war are not just a series of battles, but a systematic campaign of terror. These statistics are a challenge not only for Ukraine, but for the entire world. Over 150,000 cases are a wake-up call to international institutions. Accountability and justice must come, even if it takes time. Civilian aid. Bringing perpetrators to justice is a way to protect humanity during war. Over 150,000 criminal cases. These are documented crimes that happened here and now. This is systematic aggression, not random episodes. These figures reflect the scale of accountability that must still be carried, not only at the national level, but on the international stage. Russia's new achievement in the field of military political humanity: 20,000 naturalized migrants rounded up and sent to war against Ukraine. These figures were announced by the head of the Russian Investigative Committee, Bastyrkin. According to him, these are people who received Russian citizenship but somehow forgot to register for military service. Russian security forces, acting on direct orders, inspect areas where migrants gather: markets, dormitories, metro station. The process is simple: no registration paper, a one-way ticket to war. In leaked videos, some are already showing interest in contract service, while sarcastic commentators note he came willingly, sent voluntarily, and chose to join the special military operation himself. It all looks like very typical Russian. First lure people in with a passport, then send them to the front. Citizenship under a silent agreement. You stay silent, we send you. This is no longer mobilization. This is the disposal of the unwanted, and most importantly, voluntarily forced under the barrel of a gun. Portnov deleted, one less lawyer for the regime. Andrei Portnov, former deputy head of Yanukovych's presidential administration, legal mastermind of the regime, fan of courtroom schemes, and darling of pro-Russian channels, has died in Madrid. According to official reports, he was shot in the elite suburb of Poetso de Alarcón. returning home after dropping off his child at school. Several shots in the back, and silence. The killers calmly escaped into a nearby park. No arrests so far. Police are investigating. Ukrainian's foreign ministry has officially confirmed that the deceased was indeed Portnov. Spanish media call him a Russian lawyer, though Ukrainian commentators clarify pro-Russian, very much so. Who was he? A legal enforcer of Yanukovych government. A man who for years filed lawsuits against activists, journalists, and Maidan supporters. After the Revolution of Dignity, he fled, lived in Europe, commented on the war via telegram, and claimed Ukraine is dying. Spoiler: today Ukraine lives. Portnov does not. Portnov never faced Ukrainian justice, but someone, it seems, decided otherwise. Who did it? Unknown. Why now? Unknown. But the fact remains. One more figure from the old regime didn't live to see a comeback. Sometimes history doesn't forget. It just acts when the time is right. On disinformation. Russia's myth design versus Ukrainian identity. How it works, explained by Rena Marotan. Rena Marotan, doctor of public administration and a member of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, explains how Russia uses myth design to manipulate consciousness. What is it? How does it work? And why must Ukraine create its own counter myth? What is myth design? It's a complex of physiological technologies that project a new reality. The goal is to use mass culture to make desired behaviors seem normal, and explain Hollywood films where heroes shot trash and public begins to do the same. Russia has used a similar approach. TV shows, propaganda, satellite channels, all part of one system. Russia allocated over 1 billion euros before the 2024 elections for information warfare. Films and shows featuring artificially constructed hero images. TV series like Slova Patsana and GDR craft the image of the Russian intelligence officer or Afghan vet as a moral authority. In occupied territories, satellite TV were installed to reshape the information landscape of Donbass, Crimea, and Kherson. Why does it work? A myth isn't fiction, it's built on facts, enhanced with emotion and imagery. Ukrainian research shows over 43% of Ukrainians believe in astrology or physics. We live through the stories we are told. Russian propaganda uses emotion, nostalgia, linguistic codes, and creates a kind of Soviet brain fog. How to counteract it? According to Marotan, fighting myths directly is a waste of time. It's better to package your own positive narrative. Ukrainians have been created their own myth. The ghost of Kyiv,
Небо прикриває привід, слава Україні, знай пекельний Київ.
patron, ambassador of safety, the heroes of the armed forces, fragments of culture and wartime symbols. Examples include the game Stalker, without Russian voiceover, memes, cultural icons like the kitchen cabinet from Borodanka, all part of the battle for minds. Myth design is not just a weapon of the aggressor, it's a tool that works for everyone. If Russia creates destructive myths, Ukraine must continue creating its own strong, truthful, and identity-building. Information hygiene, media literacy, and culture are our shields against disinformation. On cultural events. At the Cannes Film Festival, a moment that went beyond cinema took place. Sean Penn appeared on the red carpet alongside Ukrainian soldiers and musicians from the Cultural Forces Initiative. They accompanied the premiere of the film Bono, the Age, a sort of homecoming. With them was Bono himself, a long-time supporter of Ukraine since the start of the war. The spotlight wasn't on the actor or the musician, but on those who truly hold the country together. Fighters who served in Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Izum. Some of them were injured. In the hall, applause. The stage, not for promo, but for gratitude. Bono said simply, "You are fighting for our freedom, too." These words spoken in Cannes, in front of the world. This wasn't Penn's first appearance in the Ukrainian context. In 2022, he gave President Zelensky his Oscar, and his documentary, Superpower, showed the early days of the full-scale invasion from within. But this time, it wasn't about him. On that red carpet stood those who needed to be heard, in uniform, from the front line, without unnecessary words. The presence of Ukrainian soldiers at the festival isn't symbolic. It's a reality that reminds the world of Ukraine is still struggle. Culture walks alongside those who defend life, sometimes even on the red carpet. Vyshyvanka Day in Vienna. On May 15, Vienna celebrated Vyshyvanka Day. Ukrainians, volunteers, diplomats, and locals held a march through the city center, from City Hall to Parliament and St. Stephen's Cathedral. Participants wore traditional embroidered shirts, carried flags and signs in support of Ukraine. Ukrainian songs and national anthem were heard. Police accompanied the march as an official sanctioned event. It was organized by the Ukrainian community in Vienna, along with the embassy. Vyshyvanka Day is an international cultural celebration symbolizing respect for Ukrainian identity. In 2025, it was observed in more than 60 countries. It's not just about clothing, it's about presence. Even far from home, Ukrainians remain visible. The Vyshyvanka isn't just fabric, it's a symbol of memory and dignity. It's a cultural code. Wherever we are, the Vyshyvanka holds our roots and shows that we remember our country, and even if we are not physically there. On Dancing Stars Austria on May 23, the show Dancing Stars Austria ended with a Ukrainian victory. Kateryna Mizer, a professional dancer from Ukraine, became the star of the final. Together with actor Aaron Carl, she reached the final episode and they won the competition. But during the award ceremony, the spotlight wasn't on him, it was on her. Aaron said directly from the stage, "This victory is for Katja. She made me a dancer."
Danke schön. Danke, liebe Katja. Vielen Dank. Danke, das ist dein Stern. Der gehört dir. Es kommt der Stern nach Niederösterreich. Unsere Farbe ist blau und gelb. Die Farbe blau und gelb ist auch die Farbe deiner Heimat. Yeah.
Katja is a Ukrainian ballroom dance champion, and now the winner of one of Austria's most popular TV shows. Aaron spoke about the importance of their flags, his own from Lower Austria, blue and yellow, and Katja's from Ukraine, with the same colors. Nearly 1 million viewers watched the show, emphasizing the significance of Ukrainians' presence in major cultural projects. It gives Ukraine more visibility and with that strength in its fight against Russian aggression. This all for today. Subscribe, like, it really helps promote the channel. Stay safe. Slava Ukraini!